Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to give a lecture here concerning the German point of view. And I would like to start with some personal comment because it's quite an honor to be here. I have been the last time in Rome some 27 years ago. And 27 years ago, I was a pupil at high school, and I decided while being here in Rome to study law, so it is quite nice to come back again to Rome. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to talk especially about debt and credit limitation with respect to constitutional law in Germany. And I think it's no surprise if I start my introduction with the fact that public finances are in a state of disaster. And this has only been confirmed by the ongoing European financial crisis within the last years. And moreover, and this is also no new discovery, public debts form a considerable burden for future policy making, and especially due to the fact that is a problem by limiting the spending behavior as capital is being tied up for the future. And this being said, as a third point, on the level of European law, it is not surprisingly that the European law contains an obligation to avoid excessive government deficits in order to guarantee the success of the economic and monetary union. And with this, I would like to start at first sight with taking a closer look to the financial safeguarding of local self-government according to the German basic law, the German constitution. According to the German constitution, the basic law of the Federal Republic of Germany, and especially according to corresponding provisions in the constitution of the federal states, local self-government in terms of autonomous exercise of public functions is guaranteed for local authorities. And one of the major points is that financial sovereignty for local communities as a right to a self-dependent income and expenditure administration is of really key importance for real autonomy. Without having money, you don't have real autonomy on a local basis. And starting point for all my further elaborations is in the first instance in complete conformity with case law and academic opinion that the finding that the financial sovereignty of local authorities has a title to adequate funding. You have to have the right, at least, however this will be specialized later on, to funding of money. And the acceptance of these constitutional guaranteed entitlements to benefits is virtual imperative, taking into consideration the basic principles of local autonomy. It is a constitutional principle that local authorities execute its affairs according to the laws on their own responsibility. And having said this, for real self-administration and self-dependent acting to be possible, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is not some kind of an empty promise in the constitutions, it is real one of the major impacts. The basis of financial autonomy have to be guaranteed by the state. And for local self-government to be effectuated, funding is of crucial importance. The self-dependent exercise of functions, and this means that democratically legitimated decision makers on local level are capable of making substantial autonomous decisions, having regard to the financial dimension of their disposals, therefore presupposes an adequate financial capability of self-administering bodies. The capability for exercising self-defined functions on their own responsibility is, let me say, the core of local self-government, as exercising these functions animates the political democratic capacity of local communities, and the existence of communities gets justification above its mere administrative organizational character. The close connection between the guarantee of self-government and the principle of democracy is not least documented by the case law of the Federal Constitutional Court of the Federal Republic of Germany. According to the Federal Constitutional Court, Municipal funding has to comply with minimum requirements in such way as to enable local authorities in accordance with the intended purpose of local self-government that lies substantially in the voluntary performance of at least financial things. A minimum standard of funding, and this is of major importance, in order to adequately perform voluntary autonomous administration is certainly violated when there is a community that is absolutely incapable of performing voluntary autonomous administration because of deficit funding. And in this case, if a local authority has no money left for autonomous decisions, we definitely have a situation where there is no local self-government anymore possible. As a matter of course, the right of communities to manage their own affairs is violated if communities receive such limited funding that they can only fulfill their obligatory autonomous functions and federal mandates. As a result, the right to self-government is violated in any case when the financial fundamentals for a meaningful exercise of self-government are lacking. And in this respect, exactly this marks also the minimum level of the competence to shape for the legislator of the equalization payments. We have, according to German constitutional law, a so-called untouchable core of the right of self-government, and this untouchable core protects the subsistence level for communities. And as minimum level guaranteed in its entirety, the minimum funding can't be relativized. It is a parameter independent from the economic potential, not negotiable, and can't be related to other public interests. A justification for interference is, according to this concept, impossible, as intrusions into the core are not justifiable with regard to proportionality principles. But beyond this core, there exists a title to adequate funding that has to meet the requirements of the administrative functions and whose extent is defined by the functions exercised as part of the state, as part of local authorities. And this title, however, is under modifying reservation of the financial capacity of the state. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now try to take a closer look